Hello, and welcome back to Real Seekers. I'm your host, Dale, the Real Seeker, and today I'm joined by the returning guest, Massimo Paris. Hey there, Massimo. How are you?
Pretty well, and you?
Excellent. I'm very good. Massimo is coming back. This is going to be part two of his presentation on the Marian apparition from Our Lady of Tilma or Our Lady of Guadalupe. So essentially, Massimo was on before and he gave a full presentation related to what this is and what the evidence for and against it is. But in part two, he wants to look at the theology and the symbology behind this apparition and the Tilma. So, with that said, I'm not going to beat around the bush, Massimo. I will just turn it straight over to you to give your presentation and let me know when you want me to put your slides up.
I'm ready.
All right, so there it is. We're good to go.
Okay, well, so it's thank you for inviting me again, and so it's my third participation to your Real Seekers podcast, and the first one was Eucharistic miracles. So this is the part two of Our Lady of Guadalupe, her message, and the theme of San Juan Diego, as I think you can see in the slide that you have on now, correct? There you see, you see that slide with Our Lady of Guadalupe, her message, and the theme of San Juan Diego.
Yep, it's popping up.
Okay. So yes, my presentation usually when I give live is divided in three parts: the historical context before the apparitions, and then the story of the apparition, then the history after the apparition, and then this part of which I'm going to talk today, that is the symbolism, the theology and the symbolism of the image that the Blessed Mother imprinted on the tomb of San Juan Diego on Tuesday, December 12th, 1531. So I shall start changing slide. Do you see the new slide now?
Yep, it's the Aztecs there.
Okay, so this is an image of an Aztec's code. Codex. Aztecs didn't use exactly books the way that we use the books. I mean, when we open a book, we know very well what is the upper part, what is the lower part, what is the right, what is the left. Aztecs, the Aztecs, but also the Maya, could take a page of a codex like this one and place either on a table, sometimes on the floor, and they could look it from different angles, from the top, from the bottom, from the right, from the left, and turn it around. So it was a little bit different, as I said, from how we look at books. To give you an idea, I'll change the slide now. This is the Dresden Codex. The Dresden Codex is a Mayan codex, but is preserved in the town of Dresden in Germany. As you can see, it was made on tree bark. So they were bound together to form like an accordion. So that accordion is practically 12 foot long, and if I show the other, so this is another picture of the same Dresden code. Dresden Codex. Sorry, I keep saying codex. Codex is the Latin word for the English for code, but these Maya or Aztec books were called codex. Codex singular, codices plural. So they could look at it from either from one side or from the other, go around, and they would make sense out of it. So practically, the point is that when the Blessed Mother's imprinting her image on the Tilma of San Juan Diego, the image, although the image was always exposed the way that we look at it now, so with the head at the top and the angel at the bottom, but what is interesting is that the image on the tilma looked like a codex that was, for some aspects, was intelligible or understandable by the native Mexicans and by the Aztecs and the other ethnic group that were in Mexico. But for other aspects was understandable by the Spaniards, and not necessarily the Spaniards would understand the aspects that were understandable by the native Mexican, vice versa. So it could look like a combination of two seemingly incompatible styles, but I shall go through all the different aspects, and in particular, I shall start with the aspects that were understandable by the Spaniards. So first of all, as you look at the whole image, the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe appears like almost a perfect representation of the verse 1 of the chapter 12 of the book of Revelation, where it said, "A great sign appeared in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head the crown of 12 stars. She was with child." So here you can see that there is a moon under her feet, as the verse 1 of chapter 12 of the book of Revelation says, and clothed with the sun. You said what you see behind the blessed Mother. You see there are some rays like the rays of the sun. The only thing that we do not, it's not visible on the tilma, is the head of the crown of the 12 stars on the head of the Blessed Mother. But anyway, besides that exception, so she's like a woman of Advent. She's pregnant. It is the 12th of when she imprinted the image. It was the 12th of December 1531, so it was close to Christmas. And this is why a woman of Advent. Advent is at least in the Catholic tradition, is the period of 4 weeks that precede Christmas, and that is used to prepare for the advent of Christ. So if you look at the face of the Blessed Mother, you can see that she's kind of looking down with her eyes. She's not looking straight. So she's almost looking downward, and almost it is as though she were turned inwardly, and so like in that facial expression conveys an attitude of contemplation, of humility and modesty. The hands are joined in prayer, and that is something that definitely the Spaniards would be able to understand. Probably the Aztecs not too much, because they didn't pray that way. And there are, if you look at the tunic, which is kind of pinkish or yellowish pinkish, there are flowers on the tunic. So plus, if here on the neck, the Blessed Mother has a brooch. I'll show you in the next slide. with a cross. You see around the neck that there is a brooch with a cross. You see it, Dale?
Yeah, I do. Just so you know, it doesn't matter, but like your mouse, what you're pointing at is slightly off from what we're
Again?
seeing.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it
Well,
doesn't matter.
then I shall not use the mouse. But you see around the neck there is a brooch with a cross.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Plus the Blessed Mother also, as per the verses 1 of the verse 1 of chapter 12, the book of Revelation, says that the woman was with child. Well, in the next slide, you see here the Blessed Mother has a sash, or like you see that black look like a ribbon. It's a ribbon of a sash. When in the Aztec culture, when a woman had a sash, that meant that she was pregnant. So, and still nowadays, in Spanish, a belt is called no, a pregnant woman is called una mujer encinta, and also in Italian, a pregnant woman is called una donna incinta. In Italian, cinta is like the belt, sash, and so it's a woman that has this kind of sash, or like a belt above the belly. But then, as I said, on the tunic of the Blessed Mother, you see there are flowers, there are drawings of drawing. There are kind of embroidered. There are flowers. You see the flowers on the tunic?
Yeah.
Okay. So probably for those who are not Catholic, people who are not Catholic are not familiar with what are called the litanies of Loreto, or the Loretan litanies. The Loretan litanies are a series of titles or definitions of the Blessed Mother that are recited, and then the person who leads a prayer would call the title, and then the people would say in Latin "ora pro nobis," or in English would say pray for us. Well, one of the titles of the Blessed Mother that are mentioned in these litanies of Loreto is Rosa Mystica. That means mystical rose. And of course, as with all the other titles or definitions, the leader of the prayer would say Mystica Rose, and people would say the whole group, the whole audience would say pray for us. So here we see a picture of a rose that has not yet bloomed. The petals are still all grouped together. And if you see at the bottom of the petals, there are what looks like 5 green structures. We shall see better in the next picture. Okay, so so now here the rose has kind of bloomed. And those so the flower is formed by all the different parts that form the flower are called the petals, petals. But those 5 structures that are at the bottom, at the end of the stem, before the flower itself, are called sepals, sepals, and there are 5 sepals, as you can see there. The purpose of the sepals before the flowers blooms is to protect the flower. But the whole structure of the 5 sepals, as you can see there, is called calyx, Clyx. Calyx in English is translated as chalice. So you can see here then that the Blessed Mother in the Litanies already is called Mystical Rose. Here we have a Mystical Rose that is red, and those the 5 sepals form the structure is called the chalice. So symbolically, of course, not literally, but the Blessed Mother was the first tabernacle of our Lord Jesus Christ when she was pregnant, and the baby Jesus was still in her womb. She was the first tabernacle that contained the body and the blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, remaining within the symbolism of the blood of Christ being collected or contained in chalices, I'll show some beautiful examples of Christian art. This is the Mount Crucifixion that is at the National Gallery in London, that was painted by the famous Renaissance painter Raphael. You see there, if you look at Christ on the cross, and there are 2 angels that are collecting in 2 chalices the blood that gushes or that trickles out of down from the wounds on in this case of the nails that were here inserted in the palms on the hands. We know from the shroud at least that apparently at least from the shroud we know that the nails were inserted at the wrist. This is a miniature. This is not a painting. That means this is a page of a book, but the symbolism is the same. There's Christ on the cross, and you see at the bottom of the cross, there are the Blessed Mother on the left-hand side, St. John the Evangelist on the right-hand side. But here we have 3 angels, not just 2. Two that are collecting the blood that is trickling down or coming from the wound of Christ at the hands, and the third one is collecting the blood from the wound that was caused by the centurion that pierced the chest of Christ. So practically we have both with the rose and the rose that is a symbol, Rosa Mystica, the symbol of the Blessed Mother, the idea of collecting the blood of Christ in a chalice. Now I'll switch from some other items that are not exactly, they're not paintings, but we find the same symbolism. So these are playing cards. On the right hand side, you can recognize the French cards that are used to play poker or bridge or the kind of card games that we are accustomed to. On the left-hand side, there are cards that are used in Italy, not to play poker or bridge, but these are Italian cards that are used for Italian card games. So I played with those cards when I was younger, an adolescent, and so you see that we have here the suites of the French cards, starting from the top left. So there are the diamonds. You say that the cursor doesn't. So from the top left, the diamonds, then the top right, there are the clubs, and then bottom left, there are the spades, and bottom right, there are the hearts. Now, in the case of the Italian cards, starting from the left, so what looks like swords that in Italian are called spade, correspond to the spades of the French cards. Then, if we switch to the third card from the top or from the bottom, but those in Italian are called bastoni, but correspond to the clubs in the French cards. Then the fourth from the left are coins, i denari in Italian, but correspond to the diamonds. So what is left are the caps, the coppe in Italian, in the Italian card, that are the second from the left, and they correspond to the hearts in the French cards. So here again, the symbolism is still the same. The heart is the structure that pumps the blood in the body, and the cups remind the chalices in which the blood of Christ was collected by the angels in those two the representation from Christian art. So the idea that the body of Blessed Mother, being the first tabernacle, was like a chalice in which the body and blood of Christ were contained for 9 months, and in the case of the heart, the heart is the structure, the anatomical structure that pumps the blood in the body, but also recalls. So again, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, we shall see in a couple of slides. So there is this somehow theme of containers that collected or contained the holy blood of Christ. This is a comparison from different kinds of cards. So the French, if you see on the left-hand side, the French cards, German cards, Italian cards, Spanish cards, and Swiss German cards. So I'll skip the ones on the second, the third, and the fourth, in the fourth column. But if you look at the first column, so the French cards, the suits are the hearts. The German cards, the suits are suits or suites? Suits, not sweet. I was saying sweets, suits, the suits. I apologize for my wrong pronunciation. So the French cards, are the hearts, which corresponds to the heart in the German, the hearts in the German cards, which correspond to the cups or chalices in the Italian cards, which correspond to the cups or chalices in the Spanish cards, which correspond to the roses at the bottom, the Swiss German cards. So the roses reconnect to the first the symbolism of the Blessed Mother being called the mystical rose in the litanies of Loreto. So now this is an image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So you must consider that when the Christ was in the womb of the Blessed Mother, as he was until being born on December 25th. Somehow his body, I would say, pulsed, beat in synchrony with the heart of the Blessed Mother. Actually, there is a saying that probably goes to back several centuries ago that he said. In Latin is ad Christum per Maria, which in English translates to Christ through Mary. So that somehow, from certain points of view, the Blessed Mother could be like a step, or she could be like a mediatrix in the process of getting closer or more united to our Lord Jesus Christ. I remember an image that I saw many years ago that I have been trying to retrieve it on the internet. I have not been able to do it. Probably there were several single heart cells in a petri dish, and each cell was beating, but each cell was beating at a different pace from the others. So each one has an individual rhythm or pace at which it was beating. But then at the center point, two cells got closer and closer. At some point, it got connected, and they start beating at the same pace. So somehow the idea is that getting closer to the Sacred Heart of Mary, to Immaculate Heart of Mary, who had pulsed at the same pace with the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, we can get closer to the and more united to Christ, and in the symbol, through the symbolism of his Sacred Heart. So here this is the symbolism of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. If you notice, there is a flame at the top. Fire has two natures. That is the tar, light and heat. And that recall somehow the two natures of Christ. Christ was 100% man and was 100% God. So here we see there is a flame at the top that symbolizes, of course, a heat, but the heat symbolizes the heat of divine love. And then there are all rays that radiate from all around the heart, from all around the heart of Jesus, that symbolize light, and light symbolizes divine truth. Christ said in the Gospel of John, "I am the way, the truth, and the light, and the life." And in another passage, and the truth will set you free. One consideration is that we are usually accustomed to think that of course symbolically, not literally, that the heart is the seat of the emotions. Often we say, go where, follow your heart, go where your heart is leading you, or similar. Which again, and I want to stress it very clearly, not literally, but symbolically. The heart is nowadays considered like the seat of emotions, but that was not the original meaning of the symbolism of the heart, in particular the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The original symbol was that the heart is the symbol was, and now has kind of lost that symbolism. Many people don't understand it anymore. Was the symbol of the intellect, not just of the emotions. The intellect is a faculty that allows us to understand divine truth. So practically in order to conform ourselves to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, to our Lord Jesus Christ, we need to somehow imitate as much as we can both those aspects. We need to imitate the heat of divine love, and we need to imitate the light of divine truth. And it is interesting the fact that the intellect is considered like an inner vision. And I remember when we started considering the facial feature of the Blessed Mother, she had the eyes turned down, like almost turn inward, and the process of the intellect is called intellection or intuition. Intuition comes from the Latin intuere, that means to see within. And actually, the intellect, the intellection or the intuition is considered like an inner vision, to the point that the intuition in English is called insight, and I don't think that it needs too many explanation to see the analogy between an inner sight and inner vision. And I would like to recall regarding this issue that of the inner vision, that in the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians 1:18, St. Paul says, St. Paul wrote, having the eyes of your hearts enlightened, that you may know what is the hope to which he has called you. He of course, God. So what is this, the eyes of the heart? The eye of the heart is another symbol of the intellect. So practically it confirms even more, strengthens or stresses even more the issue that the process of the intellectual understanding is it's like an inner vision. And to confirm even more significantly this symbolism, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 8, in the Beatitudes, Christ said, "Blessed the pure of heart, because they will see God." He didn't say that they will be loved by God, because they will be appreciated by God, because they will be rewarded by God. It's blessed the pure heart, because they will see God. Now I would like to pass to the next slide. This is a monstrance. For those who are not Catholic and are not familiar with it, the monstrance is a liturgical object that is used to expose the Blessed Sacrament. You see that that disc at the center is a consecrated host. But if you look at the whole liturgical object, it recalls somehow the like a sun. You see, the color is yellow, like gold, and there are rays that depart from all around the monstrance. Now, I'm not using the cursor because they told me, and that I noticed also when I gave the presentation on Eucharistic miracles, that the cursor, I from my part, it would yes, direct to where I want to direct it, but then from your part, it didn't. So if you notice the rays that radiate from all around the monstrance, you see there are some rays are straight, especially the longer ones. Do you see they are straight? Do you see the straight rays there?
Where is?
All around the monstrance, there are all rays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You see some, especially those ones that are longer than others. You see, those are straight.
Oh, I see. Yeah, whereas opposed to the other ones,
there are straight rays. So you see the straight rays? Yes. Okay, but then if you see in between the longer straight rays, there are two shorter straight rays, and in the middle there are rays that are like undulating, like winding. Do you see them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the straight rays symbolize the light, and the winding rays symbolize the heat. And again, the light symbolizes the divine truth, and the winding rays symbolize the divine love. So and this recalls the prophet Malachi in the book that carries his name, the book of Prophet Malachi, that is the last book before the New Testament. In the chapter 3, verses 20, he called the future Messiah the Son of Justice with healing rays. So again, there is this analogy between the Son, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and the Son. Both the Son and the Sacred Heart of Jesus, they both recall the centrality of Christ. The Son is at the center of the solar system, and as the heart is at the center of the body, practically. Now, I would like to show you when the doctrinal teaching gets somehow when we do not understand anymore too well the meaning of symbols, then even the liturgical objects manifest this lack of understanding. So in the former, this is a traditional monstrance. So it looks like the color reminds the sun, and the rays reminds the light and the heat, which symbolize the divine truth and the divine love. In this case, this is a monstrance that another modern monstrance, but here, number one, we see the color is not yellow. It doesn't remind gold. That doesn't recall too much the sun, and there is no more any difference between any distinction between the straight rays and the winding or curved or undulating rays, and there is like a big halo. So already the symbolism is kind of impoverished, and this is the monstrance that was used at the World Youth Day that took place in September 2023 in Lisbon, in Portugal, and here the number one, there is no more the yellow color that reminds the sun. That so the color is kind of silver. Plus, there are two monstrances, one's inside the other, and all the different rays cross each other. So the symbolism here is practically completely gone. Whereas I like this object. This is an astronomical marble from the Carthusian monastery of Saint Denis d'Orc in France, and dates to the 16th century. So the object is what you see on the left hand side. Probably is a little bit larger than what you can think of it, but on the right hand side there is a drawing that shows. So this object somehow combines the two symbolism, the symbolism of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the symbolism of the monstrance. You see at the center there is a heart. You see the heart at the center, and if you look at the rays that depart from the heart, some they are alternating straight and undulated and winding, straight and winding, straight and winding. So kind of reminding them the same symbolism of the straight and winding wires that are visible in the monstrance, or are visible also on the radiating light that radiates from the Sacred Heart of Jesus, or the flame. And then there is what looks like a comma at the center of the heart. That comma can be interpreted according to three different meanings. Can be either, number one, the wound of the centurion of Christ, when the centurion pierced the chest of Christ with the spear, left that wound in the heart of Christ. Can mean the letter Yod. The letter Yod is the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and the letter from which practically all the other 21 letters of the Hebrew alphabet can be derived. And finally, can symbolize the eye of the heart, of which St. Paul talks in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verses 18. But one final consideration. So this heart and sun heart that we see at the center is not the physical sun, because you see there are two circles of symbols around them. If you look at the smaller circle, the one more or less at towards the, how do you say, 11 o'clock, 11 hour, Carol?
Mm-hmm.
How do you say, 11 o'clock, 11 hour?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. You see that there is the sun there in the smaller circle. The symbols, all the planets of the solar system that could be seen with the naked eye. You see there is a sun there with there's like a face at the center and with different rays all around at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess so. I see it.
If you look at 12 o'clock at the top, the first circle, there is a cross. You see the cross?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see it. There's like a sun with.
And then if you move counterclockwise, so you see a sun with a face, and then there are all different rays that depart from the face.
Yep.
Okay, so that is the physical sun. So if that is a physical sun, that means that the heart with radiating rays, that is not that is the spiritual sun. So that is Christ, King of the world and King of the universe, the center of time and center of space. And the center of space is symbolized by the symbols of the 7 planets that are the first small circle, and then the center of time. The other symbols, those are the 12 symbols of the signs of the signs of the zodiac. They symbolize the 12 the revolution of the earth around the sun during the 12 months of the year. So Christ, the center of the universe, and the center of space, the center of time. But anyway, now back to the story of Guadalupe. So I've talked about those winding and straight rays and winding rays that we can see in the monstrance. So if we see around, it looks like behind the Blessed Mother, but we see also that same symbolism. You see that there are some rays that are a little bit thicker and are winding, and then alternating with the thinner and more straight rays. You see it? You see them behind the Blessed Mother, and that looks like an oval halo. Some rays are straight, some rays are winding. That is the same symbolism, that the straight rays symbolize the divine light, and the winding rays symbolize the divine love. So that structure that looks like an oval halo in Christian iconography is called the mandorla. And the mandorla has not the same meaning, depending if at the center of the mandorla there is the mandorla in English means almond. You see, it has the shape like an almond. Has not the same meaning if there is the Blessed Mother at the center, or there is Jesus at the center. But before going further, I would like to theorize here that what looks the verse chapter 12 verses 1 of the book of Revelation talks a woman appear in the sky with bloom clothed with the sun. So she almost looks that the sun is kind of behind her. But since the Blessed Mother, practically according to the dogma of the Immaculate Conception, she was conceived without original sin, so she was totally pure. Those rays are practically the rays of the Sun of Justice, of which the prophet Malachi talks in his book 3:20, that are radiating through her totally pure body. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, and now I'll show you a couple of examples of the mandorla where the Blessed Mother is at the center. This is from a church in the north of Italy. This is a much more beautiful from Pinturicchio, who was a Renaissance painter. So when the Blessed Mother is at the center of the mandorla, which, as I said, means almond in English, symbolizes the triple virginity of the Blessed Mother. Blessed Mother was 3 times a virgin before, during, and after the labor. And the mandala conveys a symbolism of inviolability. She was not altered physically by. She was practically made pregnant by the Holy Spirit, and also during the labor and after the labor, she remained a virgin. So this is why the mandala, when the Blessed Mother is at the center. But when the mandala contains Jesus, as you can see, the mandala has a different meaning. It's practically, you see there are 2 circles that practically overlap, and they form the mandala with Jesus inside. So the 2 circles symbolize the two natures of Christ, and so the mandala here is conveys the meaning of the 2 natures of the symbolism of the 2 natures of Christ, whereas in the case of Blessed Mother, the mandala conveys the meaning of her triple virginity before, during, and after the labor. So far, so good, more or less.
Yep. Yeah, I would say, yeah, the 2 natures. Yeah.
Okay. This is a very beautiful icon, Greek icon made that represent the Transfiguration. And the artist who painted this icon was Theophanes the Greek, and he lived between 1340 and 1405. So must have been painted, but very likely in the second half of the 14th century, of the 1300s, and it represented the Transfiguration. In the Gospel of Matthew 17:2, when Matthew talks about the Transfiguration, Matthew wrote that his face, the face of Christ, shone like the sun. His garments became white like light. So you see there very clearly the garments are white like light, but if you notice behind Christ, there are like 2 triangles that are interconnected. One is pointing upward, and the other one that is pointing downward. Do you see them? Behind Christ within that white circle, but that is not as light as his clothes, as his garments. And you see them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They look like 2 chevrons. One point downward and another one that points upward. Does it make more sense? It's more visible.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. So practically those 2 chevrons, those 2 triangles, recall this symbol that some people could think that fundamentally this is called the Star of David. But as you can see, the 2 triangles here are interconnected. You could not separate those 2 triangles, one inside the other. One inside, but practically they're connected in a way that you could not separate them. Do you realize that? They are linked. They are linked together practically. They are inseparable. You cannot separate them.
Okay.
So the Star of David, though yes, it's a symbol that is definitely used by in the Jewish tradition, to the point that is, for example, but at the center of the flag of Israel, but in that case is blue, although the two colors are different. The 2 blues are different. One is a lighter blue, and the other one is a darker blue. And then there are the two blue bands, one above the Star of David and the one below the Star of David, that symbolize the state of Israel is between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River and the Dead Sea. But in Christianity, the Star of David, like this one, has been used to symbolize this also, the true natures of Christ. As you can imagine, probably is easily understandable. The triangle pointing upward symbolizes his divine nature, whereas the triangle pointing downward symbolizes the human nature. So far, so good.
Yep.
Okay. Now, regarding so Christ, so as I said, I said in the former part one that the Blessed Mother, the apparition occurred from between the Saturday, the 9th of December, and Tuesday, the 12th of December, 1531. But it was on Tuesday, the 12th of December, 1531, that the Blessed Mother imprinted her image on the Tilma of San Juan Diego. Now, it is very likely that in 1531, the 12th of December was, if not exactly, but very close to the winter solstice. You could ask why isn't the winter solstice on around the 21st or 22nd of December? Yes, but have you heard that? Have you heard that some people talk about the difference between the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar?
Yep.
Okay. Do you know why this difference, this distinction?
Well, the Julian one is what we used to use from Julius Caesar and stuff, and then Pope Gregory changed it.
The 13th. Yes. Well, Julius Caesar, based on the calculations of a Greek astronomer, I think his name was Sosigen of Alexandria. He introduced the leap year. So he had learned that through the, as I said, to the studies of this astronomer, that the Earth takes 365 days and 6 hours to revolve around the sun. So those 6 extra hours every year, practically put together every 4 years, form an extra day that can be added to the calendar. So this was the principle based on which Julius Caesar introduced the use of the leap year. Unfortunately, well, at the time, the instruments for calculations that astronomers had at the time were not as precise as ones we have nowadays. So Sosigen posited that the Earth takes 365 days and 6 hours to revolve around the sun, but actually the Earth takes 365 days, 5 hours, and more or less 49 minutes and some seconds. So there is more or less a difference of 11 minutes. So practically the calendar runs 11 minutes late every year compared to the movement, the celestial bodies of the Earth and the Sun. So 11 minutes a day doesn't seem that much, but in the 1500s, so practically 11 minutes a year, practically involved that every 400 years the winter equinox, the winter solstice occurs 3 days earlier every 400 years. So between Julius Caesar and Gregory the 13th, and so the apparition occurred in 1531. At that point, there were about 10 days of difference between the the calendar and the movement of the celestial bodies. So practically, the winter solstice occurred 10 days before the winter, how the winter solstice was expected to occur. So instead of occurring as it is nowadays, every around the 21st or 22nd of December, at the time occurred probably around the 12th, the 11th, or the 12th. So very likely in 1531, if not exactly, but maybe one day, there could have been a 1 day of difference. But there was this discrepancy between the calendar and the movement of the celestial bodies. So Gregory the 13th was a pope, the 1580s. He summoned this problem had already been known and tackled by former popes, but no one had been able to solve it. So he summoned again a group of scientists and astronomers, mathematicians and astronomers, and it was decided that practically it was chosen the month of October 1582, the days from the 4th through the 15th of October were removed from the calendar. So 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So not from the 15th, from the 4th to the 13th. From the 4th to the 13th, so including the 4th and the 13th, were removed from the calendar. So the day after the 3rd was not the 4th of October, but was the 14th. And that reset the calendar on as it was at the time of Julius Caesar. So removing all those discrepancies that accumulated during all those years. And then also there were some measures were taken so in order not to repeat that same mistake. So practically, besides this fact that very likely that the 12th of December 1531 was, if not the winter solstice, maybe the day before, so maybe it was the day after, but was very close. So Christ, the Gospel of John is called the light of the world. And in the Gospel of John, also in John 3:30, Saint John the Evangelist says about Christ, I must decrease, he, Christ, must increase. So practically, if Christ was coming into the world close to the winter solstice, then the winter solstice is the day in the year when there is the shortest amount of light, and then so from that point on, the period of lights in the year starts increasing again. So this is why John the Evangelist said he applied mainly the fact that he had practically prepared the way of the Lord, prepared the coming of Christ, and so he had his task had finished, and he had to decrease, and Christ instead had to increase his influence on with the establishment of the new religion of Christianity. But at the same time, that could be interpreted allegorically, that the light of Christ at that point had to start to increase, and in spite of the fact that having come into the world at the winter solstice, and we somehow not only John the Evangelist, but we humans, we need to decrease in our spirit, in our soul. We need to let our ego decrease. We let Christ to increase in our hearts, in our soul. Does it make sense? Hello?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So, and then the other thing is that maybe we'll see it later, that at the bottom of the black at the bottom of the black under the feet of Blessed Mother there is a black moon. The moon usually is white, or so why was black? So do you know when the moon is black, and what in correspondence with what astronomical events the moon is black?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you know in correspondence of what astronomical events or phenomena the moon is black?
Like an eclipse. You're
yes, exactly. In correspondence when there is an eclipse, when the moon covers practically the sun, and appears black. But in this case, the black moon under the feet of the Blessed Mother is not Christ as the Son of Justice, of which the prophet Malachi talks in his book 3:20, but is the sun god of the Aztecs, that to be eclipsed and to be practically and to give space, to give room to the Son of Justice with healing grace, that is Christ, as per the prophecy of the prophet Malachi. Now I want to show the two very beautiful paintings. This one is by Petrus van Schendel, that shows you see that there are three different lights here. There is the Blessed Mother there at the center on the left-hand side of that very intense light. That very intense light is the baby Jesus who was just born, but so is the light of the light of the world that comes into the world. But if you notice to the right-hand side, there are some shepherds that are entering to the stable with the torch. But you notice that the light of the torch is much less intense or bright than the light of Christ. Do you notice?
Yeah, I see that, the torch in the background.
And then if you look to the top left, that is the light of the moon that comes through some openings in the ceiling and then on the roof. But that is even less intense. So the most intense light there is Christ, then a normal fire. But to stress the fact that Christ is not just physically, but most of all spiritually, the light of the world that comes into the world at the moment of very close. Christ was born on the 25th of December, whereas the winter solstice, as I said, usually the 21st or the 22nd of December, but very close to the winter solstice, and so his light is extremely bright. And this other painting, this is by Carlo Maratta, is my favorite Christmas nativity painting. That so he shows the still Christ of the light of the world, but here he kind of enlightens also the body of the Blessed Mother and the faces of the small angels that those are not kids, the angels, the cherubs. So very, very beautiful. Now back to the so here you can see that as I mentioned earlier, that the moon under the feet of the Blessed Mother is black to symbolize again the eclipse, but the eclipse of the sun god of the Aztecs, not of Christ, the sun SU, and the Son of Justice with the healing rays. So if you notice here that there is an angel. Also, I'm not using the cursor because it doesn't correspond to yours. If you see at the bottom of the Blessed Mother, there is an angel that is holding with the right hand the tunic of the Blessed Mother, which is bluish with stars on it, so symbolize the heaven. Whereas with the left hand, the angel is holding the tunic of the Blessed Mother, which is pinkish with flowers, so symbolize the earth. So that the symbol is there is that practically the Blessed Mother was the Queen of Heaven and Earth. Queen of Heaven because you had that that beautiful mantle of with the stars, and the tunic with flowers. So she was queen also of the earth. One more thing. Now I'm getting to. So far, I've talked of the symbolism, especially for what was the symbolism that could be understood by the Spaniards. But now I'm getting to the symbolism of symbols that could be understood by the native Mexicans. So the Blessed Mother, as you can see, has loose hair. The hair is not combed or collected on top of the head or whatever. So when a woman in the Aztecs or native Mexican cultures had loose hair, that meant that she was single. She was not married. So by extension, that meant that the woman was a virgin. So that convey also to the Aztec the idea of the Blessed Mother was a virgin. And as already explained earlier, if you look at that sash, the black sash under the joined hands of the Blessed Mother, that she was pregnant. She was a virgin, but she was also pregnant. And if you look at you see if you look at the black sash, you see there are like 2 lines that run down at the center of the tunic of the Blessed Mother. You see those 2 lines? They're vertical from more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. But then if you immediately to the right hand side, from the point of view of us observers, there is like a curved wrinkle or on the tunic of Blessed Mother that shows as though she had her left knee was bent. You see that wrinkle that that is it curves going curves on the top from the top and then curves going further towards the other 2 lines that are straight at the center. You see that wrinkle?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that conveys the idea that the Blessed Mother had that the left knee was bent. So that for the native Mexicans conveyed the idea that Blessed Mother was praying. That the Native Americans would pray dancing. They would dance while praying, or pray in order to dance in order to pray, or would pray dancing. So that was an idea that could be understood by the native Mexicans. And finally, the color of the mantle is a greenish blue. And that also conveyed the idea that Blessed Mother was a queen or an empress, and because frankly that color was a color could be used only by the Aztec emperor. This is a headdress of the Emperor Moctezuma II that is at the Museum of Ethnology in Vienna, in Austria. As you can see, the colors had kind of faded. But those long feathers were the feather of the quetzal bird that I'll skip a couple of this. Sorry, this is the quetzal bird. So you see the long tail of the quetzal. See the very long tail.
Yep.
That is greenish blue. So those. Sorry, go back to the. So that headdress was made with the quetzal feathers, especially the feathers of the tail. But as I said, that was the original headdress was taken to Europe and now is preserved in Vienna. But as you can imagine, that those colors had faded. Whereas this is a modern reconstruction of the headdress of Moctezuma II that is preserved at the Museo Nacional de Antropología y Historia, the National Museum of History and Anthropology that is in Mexico City. Here, as you can see, the feathers are much brighter. The colors are much more live, much more fresh. So probably something that must be made quite recently, probably in the last 30, 40 years, I would say. No, I don't think more than that. Maybe less, but So, excuse me. So I already showed the Quetzal. So you you see under the black sash there is a flower with 4 petals. You see it, but the petals are disposed like to form like an X.
And it's underneath what? Underneath what?
Underneath the black sash. Underneath the black sash, on the tunic, there is a flower with 4 petals. There is the
Oh yeah, I see that.
the bottom of the flower at the center, and there are 4 petals disposed like an X.
Okay, like behind the egg. I see. Yeah, it looks like a Y to me, but
Well, no, actually, it has 4 petals. The petals are 4. The one at the bottom right, they're not too well visible, but there are definitely 4 petals.
okay.
So,
Okay, that's why. I'll take your word for it. I'm not seeing this one, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the only flower that is not repeated, and the other flowers are repeated. So that is, and practically, if you look at now, if you look at the tunic and where that flower is placed, that very likely corresponds to the navel of the Blessed Mother, to the center of the belly, and somehow conveys the idea of, again, the centrality of Christ that was conveyed also by the sun being at the center of the solar system, and by the heart that is at the center of the body. The sun at the center of the body, especially from the point of view that practically the heart is almost perfectly at the intersection. If someone opens the eyes wide open, the arms wide open horizontally, form a line that goes from the tip of the left hand to the tip of the right hand, going through the chest, and like someone who were to be crucified. It's an horizontal axis of the body, and then the intersection with the vertical axis goes through the head, the center of the chest, and the legs. So it's another way of conveying the idea of the centrality of Christ. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, here I have separated. Do you remember when I showed the symbol of the Star of David with the 2 triangles that were linked together? Here now I have separated the two triangles.
Mm-hmm.
So as I had said earlier, the upper triangle with the one that is pointing upward, that symbolizes the divine nature of Christ, whereas the lower triangle symbolizes the human nature. But you know, I'm not going to use the cursor. You tell me that in your, I know I've noticed already at the time of on your part doesn't, the cursor on your part doesn't follow my cursor. So
Yeah.
but the lower triangle, if you somehow reminds a very stylized human heart. If you can imagine 2 half moons on the top, 2 red half moons on top, and you imagine that the 2 sides pointing downward are red. You can imagine that somehow recalls the idea of a human heart. Does it give it?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the lower triangle also, if you imagine that if there were a stem at the bottom, recalls like a chalice. So we get again, we go back to the analogy with when we are talking at the beginning of the mystical rose, the Blessed Mother be the mystical rose, and the symbolism of the chalice or of the heart, the two containers that can contain the blood of Christ. So practically, this is a symbol of the heart, and the heart, as I had said earlier, is a symbol of the intellect. So it is through the intellect that we can understand divine truth. But now I'm wrapping up. So, in a certain sense, what is the message of the apparition of the Blessed Mother? What is one of but one of the 2 or 3 main messages? The Blessed Mother, the Aztecs I had mentioned on the occasion, the first presentation, the first part, the Aztecs perform human sacrifices to sustain their gods, but especially the sun god, to keep the sun rising every morning, and to sustain the cycle of sun and the rising and the setting of the sun. But the Blessed Mother, with her apparition, she was kind of promoting a civilization of love, where people are called to God, who in Christ is life-giving food for them. That means Christ, through his sacrifice, becomes life-giving spiritual food for us, human beings, as in opposition to a civilization like the one of the Aztecs, where the gods were sustained by the sacrifice of the human lives of the human beings for food of the gods. Does it make sense? It's practically a switch of the whole concept flipped upside down. The Aztecs were killing the human beings, were extracting the hearts from their chest in order to sustain the gods. The Blessed Mother calls us to a civilization of love in Christ, where Christ, through his sacrifice of the cross, give us his life-giving spiritual food in order to sustain us. Okay, and it is practically it is as though the Blessed Mother were telling the Aztecs something of this kind. It is as though she were telling them, I understand you. I understand human sacrifice because I was at the foot of my son's cross. I understand what human sacrifice is because I lived it. I suffered it. I was before my son, watching how he spilled his blood and offered his body for the salvation of all. No more sacrifices, especially no more human sacrifice. My son is the only and eternal sacrifice. Now, if you look at the bottom of the Blessed Mother, you see that it looks like there is like a fold of the tunic. You notice that fold of the tunic that is held at the bottom by, at least on the left by the left hand of the angel. You see that fold of the tunic?
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay, so there is a fold of the tunic. Now, if I turn the image of the Blessed Mother 180 degrees, so if I flip practically the image of the Blessed Mother upside down, you see now?
Yep.
Okay, so you see now that fold. If you look to the right hand side from our point of view, you see it looks as though they were the head of a baby. There is like
yeah, I can see it, kind of like in up in the black part, kind of thing.
up in the black part. So it looks like the head of the baby, and so what is the fold of the tunic of the Blessed Mother looks like a blanket or a crib. Does it make sense? With a baby inside.
Okay, yeah.
And practically the black part is like the other side of the blanket or the crib, the internal other side, opposed to the one that is visible from this side, from the point of the side of the observer. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I so, but if we go back to the image before, so that looks kind of when we look at the image of at the Our Lady of Guadalupe, normally it looks at that crib or that blanket is kind of upside down, right? That fold of that fold at the bottom of the tunic that is like once turned 180 degrees, looks like a blanket or a crib with a baby inside. If you look at in normal condition, when the Blessed Mother looks like standing upward, you see that the crib or the blanket looks like look like upside down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So back to the. So for several years, I wondered, is that was the Blessed Mother sending us an encrypted message? And so why is that blanket or crib, whatever, upside down? And so, as I said, for a while, a few years, I kept ruminating and reflecting and contemplating and meditating why there was that. And one day, it kind of clicked in my mind, and so practically that as the Blessed Mother was kind of conveying to the Aztecs the message of no more human sacrifices, but that was the Aztecs to the native Mexican of her time, of the time of the apparition, of the native Mexican of the 1600s. No more human sacrifice that the Aztecs were accustomed to perform. But then I thought, well, there is here a message that was also sent somehow to us modern human beings, and that the practically that crib or blanket upside down. I had always wondered why the Blessed Mother didn't have that crib or that blanket just normally as though it had been placed on the floor. Instead, it's upside down, because if placed normally on the floor, would look like a mother that was walking, I don't know, to go to the market or whatever, to go somewhere with their baby in the blanket. At the point, she had to rest a moment. She was tired. She had to rest a moment, so she placed the blanket or the crib on the floor. But the blanket or crib be practically upside down, as though to try to throw away what was inside. So to me, that conveys the idea that the Blessed Mother was conveying to us, modern human beings, the idea that no more, to the Aztecs, she sent the message, no more human sacrifices. But to us, is going also to convey the idea that no more modern human sacrifice, meaning no more abortions. The abortion is like a modern time human sacrifice. And so that is how I interpret that the message, that blanket folded in that way, and with the baby like upside down. So, and
I'll just say I've never heard that before, so that's something new and interesting. But yeah, I'll shut up. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, and so somehow, in a certain sense, another message that Massimo was sending us, that we have nowadays lost the idea of the redemptive power of suffering. We spent millions, if not billions of dollars in painkillers, tranquilizers, and antidepressants. No one wants to suffer anymore. So whereas in the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians 1:24, St. Paul says, I rejoice in my suffering for your sake, and in my flesh I complete what is lacking in the suffering of Christ for the sake of his body, that is the church. So he said, I complete what is lacking in the suffering of Christ. What does it mean? That the suffering of Christ was not complete? No, the suffering of Christ on the cross was absolutely complete. But because it was totally complete, when we suffer from any kind of suffering, from banging the foot or our knee against the leg of the table, whatever, to some serious suffering, where can be a terminal ill, or the loss of a friend, of a member of the family, to a serious depression that someone carries for years. If we unite our suffering to the suffering of Christ, but if we unite intentionally and wittingly, Christ can invest can invest our suffering of redemptive power. And so practically, as God, when a couple decides to to bring about a new life, generating a new child, God makes them co-creators with him. God is a creator, but he makes parents that bring about a new life, co-creators with him. So Christ, who underwent his sacrifice on the cross for the redemption of the whole mankind, when we intentionally and wittingly unite our suffering to his, he can invest our suffering of redemptive power, and he can make us co-redeemers with him, which I found very, very inspirational, especially for people sometimes that don't find meaning to their suffering. Why do I have to suffer? Why this is happening to me, or things like that. So practically, insofar as we sacrifice from the Latin sacrum facie, to make it sacred. So if we united our suffering of any kind, physical or psychological, to the suffering of Christ, we can maybe figuratively die spiritually with him. At that point, we shall resurrect with him. And so I don't expect that you remember that another consideration was when, at a certain point, the Blessed Mother told San Juan Diego, when on Tuesday he was trying to look for a doctor to go to heal a missionary, to go to give the last rite to his uncle Juan Bernardino, who was dying. And then Blessed Mother told him, "Don't worry, you are under protection of my mantle." So I would invite people to ask the help of the Blessed Mother to put her mantle around us and to offer our pain to God, so that he can invest it of redemptive power. And finally, in light of the fact that, as I said, that the symbolism of the heart is fundamentally the symbolism of the intellect. So let us, and I had mentioned that when I showed the image of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, I would invite people, let us unite our hearts to Mary, and through her heart, may we beat in synchrony with the heart of Christ, the Son of Justice, with healing grace, which will heal all our ailments, and through him, with him, in him, may his light, the light that radiates from his Sacred Heart, may shine in our hearts and transfigure our whole beings with the power of love, and allowing us to see with the eye of the intellect, that is the symbol of the intellect I showed, especially in that symbol of that heart radiating in that astronomic marble. So allowing us to see with the eye of the intellect the splendor of truth. And finally, here I'm wrapping up and concluding, after all, the whole message and the whole, that what counts in life, as Saint Augustine brilliantly summarized in 3 sentences, is that Saint Augustine said, the greatest endeavor in life is to seek God. The greatest achievement in life is to find God. The greatest romance in life is to fall in love with God. So I hope that these 2 presentations about the Blessed Mother and the apparition of Guadalupe may help us to invest, to try to turn, especially in this period of Lent, to turn our hearts toward searching God, toward finding God, and toward falling in love with God. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right. Thank you so much, Massimo. I appreciate that. And yeah, I guess I'll just obviously we're limited on time here, but so I'll just ask a couple of sort of general questions
Go
to
ahead,
you.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So the first thing, taking your presentation overall on the theology and the symbology behind this artifact here, what do you think the main message is that God, if God created these images and He put all these symbols on, is there a main message or thing that He wants us to take away behind why He left all these symbols for us?
Well, regarding the Blessed Mother in particular, I would say that she presents herself and as the universal mother. She's not just the mother of the Aztecs. She's not just the mother of the Native Americans. She's not the mother of. She's mother of all human beings. She's the universal mother. She's the mother of God, the mother of Christ. And so let's turn to her. As I said earlier, let's try to establish a civilization of love. I know we discussed some, I think it was last time, that if you don't buy too much the idea of God is infinite, but I do. So if God is infinite, we are all in Him. But I don't think many people realize that we are all in Him. And this is why we feel, if I ask many people, do you feel united to God? Probably many would say, not too much. And if I ask, do you feel united to all the other human beings? Probably many would say, not too much. I'm not saying everybody, but someone probably would say yes. But I wouldn't say that is a great majority. And if I ask, do you feel united to the rest of creation? Probably many would say, not too much. So I would say that God is one, and God calls us to unity to Him, not only to Him, unity to Him, unity with each other. With all that, we are all, through the sacrifice of Christ, we are all brothers in Christ and adopted children of God. And at the same time, we need to respect also creation. The letter of St. Paul to the Romans, I think it's chapter 8, St. Paul says that the whole creation has been waiting for eager expectation, the redemption of the children of God. That means with our fall, with the banishment from the Garden of Eden, we have dragged also creation with us. We need to look at to spread somehow definitely a message of we need to develop a civilization of love, compassion, respect, tolerance, unity, and so on and so on and so on, that are the best quality of human beings. Here, if we look around, we see, especially in the last wars, the confrontations, we hear talking about mass deportations, and so all attitude of very lack of respect to other human beings. I don't think this is the path that leads to paradise. We need definitely to change our hearts, to change our attitude, and we don't need to change everybody around us. We need to start with ourselves. But if everybody started changing himself or herself, the world will start to change. I always say we are 1.8 billion people on the face of the earth now. If everybody of us, each one of us, started changing, starting taking his or her 1.8 billion part of responsibility to try to make the world a better world, the world will start to change. But often many people say, oh, it's the fault of the government, it's the fault of who knows what, it's everybody the fault of someone else. We need to roll up our sleeve a little bit and let's take our responsibilities. Let sincerely say, let me try to make the world a better place. If everybody started saying that, the world will start to change. But unfortunately, just a consideration. I've been interested in the last 2-3 years about social media. social media appeal to the worst aspect of the human mind, the human psyche. It has been seen when, for example, if in a post on social media, a kind of confrontation or insulting word is added, that post increases chances of being re-clicked. Why? We don't need to keep insulting each other. We need to love each other. We need to respect each other. We need to tolerate each other. We are all children of God. Let's forget the differences of color of skin. Let's forget the religion of political party. Let's forget the,
That's yeah. So in the first place, I can go along with you on the infinite, but God is a qualitative infinite. So I'll give you that. We can
absolutely. No, but I would say it's qualitative and also quantitative is both.
Yeah. So I agree with at least half, just to give some unity. But that's what I wanted to kind of follow up on. If there is this universal message through the universal mother, and that message is for this unifying, while looking to her and stuff like that. I just wanted to ask you, that's great if you're a Catholic, or great if you're an Orthodox or something like that. But for many Protestants, that would almost be a divisive message. It would be very offensive because we don't view Mary the same way. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what do you make about that? If it's trying to accomplish this unifying message, why does that result in division? Is that, the fault of like, what do you make of that?
Well, number one, I think I mentioned when I gave the presentation about Grace and Miracles, I absolutely respect every person of every religion. I respect the of course, I'm Catholic, so I respect the Catholic, but I respect the Orthodox, I respect the Protestant, I respect everybody. It's not that I respect only the Catholic. I'm not one of things that only Catholics go to heaven. It's not. I don't think only Orthodox go to heaven. And I'm not saying that the Protestants we all go to hell.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. So that's correct, but I'm not asking about like kind of your opinion. I'm kind of asking like, what do you think in terms of God giving a message using this image, this unifying message? What's your take? Well, but it has this consequence that it can lead to divisions because it doesn't speak to all of Christians and stuff like that. So that kind of from God's perspective.
Well, number, I would say that everybody, Catholic, Catholics, Orthodox, people from the Greek or Russian Orthodox, or we all had the mother. We would not be here if we had not had the mother. So let's think about not necessarily a mother that is Catholic. Let's think of a mother in general. Let's think of our mother. I don't think our mother would teach us to if we had other brothers, to go against our brothers or against our sisters. Let's think of a mother in general, not necessarily a Catholic mother. This is how I would look at it. And I'm not saying, we had a Blessed Mother, you don't believe in the Blessed Mother, but she was a mother. Let's look just at the aspect of being just a mother, not a Catholic mother or the mother of, I don't know. So I would not get stuck on this aspect. Obviously, she is believed of, she's venerated in one religion and we don't believe in her, but believe in her just as a mother, not necessarily as the mother as it is venerated or by the Catholics. She's the mother of Christ. She's mother of God, and so she wants us to love each other, all of us. I don't think the Blessed Mother would say love only the other Catholics and don't love the Protestants, and so. I would invite, I don't say to impose. I would invite. Look at the Blessed Mother just as a mother, as I said, not just the mother of the Catholics. Let's not get stuck on labels of what denomination. Let's not get stuck on colors of skin or label of religion or of political affiliation. Let's try to look at each other as brothers and sisters in Christ, in God.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
And, by the way, and I go even beyond that. For me, I feel broader and of also of the Jews, of the Muslims, of the Buddhists, of the Hindus. I feel we are all children of God. There is no difference, and I think, I'm not sure I mentioned that, if we remain at the superficial level of differences, if I say ampoule, bombilla, lampadina, and glühbirne, it can seem I've said 4 different words: ampoule, bombilla, lampadina, glühbirne. They are pronounced differently, they are written differently. So, but if we go a little bit deeper to the core or to the meaning, I said the word light bulb. Ampoule is French, bombilla is Spanish, lampadina is Italian, glühbirne is German. So if if a Spanish, if a French, a Spanish, an Italian, and a German focus on how this, they think they are saying the 4 different words. Actually, they're saying the same thing, but in 4 different languages. So if we focus on the formal or exterior or superficial aspect of the different religions, they seem to say different things. But if we go a little bit more, we start digging, we go more to the core, to the deep meaning, we find the same message everywhere. So this is how I see it.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So, the last follow general question that I wanted to ask is, so I'm wondering what, non-Christians are supposed to get out of this. I'm wondering, so you mentioned a lot about the background of and cultural meaning from the indigenous side as well from the Christian side, Christian side there in terms of the symbology. I'm just wondering, is there any evidential value to these symbols, or is it just purely theological? Or do you think there's evidential value where maybe it's displaying cultural knowledge that had to be obtained supernaturally in some way, or could it all have been obtained?
No. Actually, symbols, symbols. For example, the symbol of the cross is an extremely universal symbol, to the point that we're talking about we are focusing on for example, the symbol of the cross. We imagine the cross with Christ crucified on it. But if we extrapolate a moment from Christ on the cross is one of the most widespread, one of the most universal symbols. To the point, for example, Tlaloc was the rain god, the god of rain in the Aztec tradition. There is a cross, it's called the cross of Tlaloc. And there is, for example, one version. I was showing Carol the other day, for example, the comparison. Do you know what the Ankh is? The Ankh, that cross of life in the ancient Egypt, that looked like a cross with that was the vertical, the lower arm of the cross, then the 2 horizontal arms, and then at the top was like a drop shaped loop. Ever seen that symbol? No, probably not. But anyway, so the cross, for example, is one of the most widespread symbols in all. It's almost could be found in plenty of different traditions, and one of the absolutely most widespread. And I know that I usually don't tackle too much because people have a bad association with it, because it has get a very bad reputation in the last 70, 80 years, is the swastika. The swastika is the most ancient symbol of version of the cross. Unfortunately, it has become that bad reputation because it was used by the Nazis, but the swastika was used by the Christians, the swastika was used by the Jews, the swastika was used by the Romans, by the Greeks, by the Celts. It is one of the most ancient, is still nowadays used by by the Buddhists, by the Hindus. So unfortunately, people think that swastika is just a Nazi symbol. It's not. Hitler made the swastika one of the main symbols of Nazism, but the swastika had an enormous history before Nazism, and over in an enormous amount of different cultures, and even independently on religious or political context. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but anyway, there are symbols in general that there are many symbols that are, for example, the symbol of the snake, the serpent. It's a symbol that you can find also in plenty of traditions, and in the Judeo-Christian tradition is as a negative aspect, that is the aspect of Satan tempting Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But it has also a positive aspect, that is, for example, when at the certain point during Exodus, God started punishing the Jews, sending them the snakes that were biting them and making them die. And then God told them to build that bronze serpent on top of a post, and if they were bit by the snakes, to look at that post and they would be saved. And that was a prefiguration of Christ, to the point that Christ told Nicodemus in the Gospel of John, as Moses raised the bronze serpent in the desert, so the Son of Man needs to be raised for the salvation of mankind. So I would say that symbols, real symbols, have not a human origin, have a divine origin. And you have very often they are polysemic, have different meanings, have a positive meaning and a negative meaning, and can be applicable to different levels. For example, the symbol of the eye that I mentioned, St. Paul talks about the eye of the heart. The eye can be interpreted as the physical eye. The eye can be interpreted at the psychological level, when we use the expression the imagination, or try to imagine something. We try to see something with the eye of our mind, the eye of our psyche. So we try to imagine, to see mentally something that we don't have in front of our eyes, so we saw an image, and a picture, and a painting, whatever, but we try to recreate in our mind. And then the eye has also the meaning of the eye of the heart, which is at the further spiritual level. So the same symbol often can be applicable at different levels, as it can have different meanings, and can have a positive and negative meaning. So this is why symbols are much better than the discursive language to convey divine truth.
Okay, so kind of, I understand what you're saying about the supernatural origin of the symbols themselves and stuff like that. But I guess I was just kind of more asking, like, could an artist who is aware, like, for example, I can draw a cross, right? So great, maybe the symbol of the cross itself is divine in origin.
Yes.
But my drawing it on the paper, that's not supernatural, because I know about the cross. And so I'm wondering, is there anything in the symbols of the Tilma that would rule out an artist having painted this or something? Does that make sense? That's what I'm asking. Or?
No, understand. What? Consider one thing, that a symbol like I don't know, a symbol like the chalice, or the half moon. The half moon, for example, is used also as a symbol of like a container of like a chalice, something that can. You can have an artist that represents a symbol even without being aware of the meaning of that symbol, but that doesn't deprive the symbol of its meaning. I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making any sense?
I think so. Like, I'm gonna need to go back and reconsider it and stuff like that. But yeah, I get what you're trying to say. So
let's look at another symbol, the chalice. So the chalice is used in Christianity, is used as a container for the blood of Christ. But then you see, you find in playing cards, in Italian playing cards, and also in Spanish, Italian, Spanish playing cards, and so on. But then you find, for example, during the Middle Ages, there was the symbol of the Holy Grail, that was also a chalice, but now I could lead us quite astray. But apparently, the symbolism of the chalice, the Holy Grail, is a symbol was already was kind of transferred from the Celtic tradition into the Christian tradition. So there are symbols that can appear in different traditions, but not always one tradition has borrowed from a former tradition, a different tradition. I would say that the meaning of several symbols is universal. But the flower. So for example, for us, the flowers, the flowers there had the meaning had the meaning of truth for the Aztecs, had the meaning of the mystical rose for the Christians. But for example, if you go in Hinduism and Buddhism, you have a different flower, the lotus, that also has a very important symbol, sacred symbol. So maybe it's not exactly the same symbol, the same flower, but the symbol of the flowers have usually an important sacred meaning in different traditions.
All right. Fair enough. All right, cool. Yeah, that's it. I just want to say thank you very much for coming on and giving the presentation there. And just so the audience knows, we're waiting on Dr. Franco Serafini.
Okay. Can I show one more thing? Just if someone is interested in inviting me to give a presentation either on the shroud or about the Tilma, or about the shroud, the Tilma, or the Eucharistic miracle. Sorry. That is my name. Those are my two emails address. They can try to contact me, or this is my phone number. So if they're going to invite me to give a presentation, wherever, they are parish or they are a cultural associate club or whatever. So that is how they can try to reach me.
Awesome. All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, thank you so much. And we're just waiting for word from Franco, but
okay.
we'll
maybe I'll give him a call and remind him.
Sounds great. Yeah. So hopefully we can get that discussion or debate show on the Eucharistic miracles between Massimo, Franco, and versus the skeptic Kevin. And if there's any other skeptics out there that have a scientific background, maybe reach out to me and we could have 2 versus 2. But otherwise, it'll be you 3. That'll be sometime, I'm assuming, in the summer at some point. But yeah, and other than that, I think Massimo also would like to come back sometime in the summer to speak about the empty tomb. So yeah, that's what you have to look forward to. And any last words, Massimo? Or
no, I'm very thankful to you for having allowed me this platform to talk about these miracles and Tilma de Guadalupe. Maybe in the future, if you want, I can talk also about the shroud. So because that is one of my.
Yeah, well, you were supposed to do a presentation on the shroud, but I think you said you were doing it at the conference.
Yeah, but I've noticed that the theology, if you don't have some basic information about the shroud, that it's usually preferable to be. In a certain point, the basic information about the shroud is basic. The presentation about the shroud in general is kind of preparatory to talk about the theology of the shroud, I would say. Let's put it this way.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll work that out and stuff like that. But other than that, have a great week, everybody. And next week, I'm going to be on with Phil Bear, the Protestant Phil Bear. And we're going to be talking about, so we're doing a series on the 7 ecumenical councils. And what are some of the things we agree with, some of the problems with some of the ecumenical councils and stuff like that from a Protestant perspective. And Phil said that we're starting next week with the Council of Nicaea. So tune in for that. That's what we have coming up next week. But other than that, take care.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.